I'm wondering then, in light of your description of the authors falling into, the left side or the other side of the equation in terms of the humanistic and the moral domain of education, progressive education. I'm wondering if we are about democratic practices and principles, then if you go into that reaction mode, if you fall to the other side of the continuum, and if you are fighting, if you can do democracy. I don't know.
Wow. If you mean consciously choose to be in that space, can you do democracy?
Because I'm thinking here of Naomi Klein, I think, had a really interesting analysis of the whole tactic that was taken with the media, which was a very crisis-based tactic, and how in framing what was happening as a crisis, that leads large groups of the population to go into fear mode and reaction mode, and it seems like blindly following something as equally as problematic as reacting to it. So I'm wondering if the authors are falling into the trap of anti-democracy by fighting.
Or are the authors, given the profound power in our society right now, given the media and corporations, are the authors actually standing and saying, this is how you do democracy, this is how you speak truth to power, this is how you name the world, so that, because everything is unnamed, everything is soundbited, everything actually is like, you don't see it, it's always foggy. We have these acronyms, even for terrible tragedy. Are in fact, our authors naming the world?
I think that that's something, as you were talking about the transformative experience of reading this book and thinking about it over time, I think that's something that, even hearing you say that, I have a better understanding, I think, now than I did early on. Because, like you say, truth to power, thinking beyond No Child Left Behind. I mean, for a number of years prior to this and during this time, No Child Left Behind was a huge burden, if you will, and experience that all public schools and teachers were going through throughout the country. It's been a little bit, mitigated in some ways, but yes. And so for two authors to take that on and say, what is there beyond this? How can we do, where do we go from here? And your idea of truth to power, one of the things that they talk about in here is the role of the teacher and the power that teachers have had in the past, not power, but respect and influence in the way that teachers were seen, as a way to educate children, and the public in general respected that. And there were differences, but there was more, perhaps, consensus about the role of teachers and what teachers were expected to teach. That wasn't always perfect. We know there are issues with history and so forth. But one of the author's points is that the way No Child Left Behind is being implemented today is undermining that respect for teachers.
Right.
So, and the authors, one of the points they make is that because teachers are in that important role of educating the future generation, they do have a kind of power that many other people in society don't have, that in some ways, some parts of society today see almost as subversive, because teachers have the opportunity to show children that other side of what's happening in the world, that truth to power. What is that media influence about? So it's not just about turning it off, it's about recognizing that kids are deeply immersed in it, and how can we teach them to view that critically. And in some ways, that's one of the scariest things about democracy, is that it's all about critical thinking. And I think that in some ways, and they talk a lot too about that fear-based society that you were talking about, and the tendency for, again, that dichotomizing, but of the right, the conservative viewpoint, to be stuck in where we are and wanting to keep, where we came from, rather than that taking a risk and moving into that change and the future piece. So moving beyond the fear to embracing something new. And I think that's where teaching is, and that's what democracy, your point about Dewey, that's really what we need to have to be a living, breathing, healthy democracy.
Society.
Yeah, society, and that's a scary part. And we as educators are on the cusp. Good education is about keeping kids on the cusp. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And moving them forward. And that's pretty terrifying for some people.
It is always the terror. Absolutely.